You've become a sloppy cleaner. There was dust in the corner. You knew it had been there for a while. You're a housewife, so you'd better together. If there's still dust the next time it...
As my work as a cartoonist increases, I find myself becoming more and more interested in the world of politics. My husband began giving me the cold shoulder. When I was busy with deadlines, he harassed me. Get very specific about chores and make sure they are age appropriate. There were times when he'd make me clean up. It seems that my husband expects me perfect housewife, but being a cartoonist is what I've always wanted to do since I was a child. I don't want to give up now. Moreover, my husband seems to be hiding something from me. I have no intention of forgiving him. I am Nina, 31 years old. I am a freelance comic artist. I draw stuff such as serial comics. I am also a housewife who works hard housework. I have a 35-year-old husband, Todd. We registered our marriage 6 years, the promise that I would become a housewife. In our second year of marriage, my husband passed away. I was their only daughter, and my husband and I lived together in the house I inherited from them. I didn't want to quit my comic book, which I had been doing since I was a student.
I could be a full-time housewife, but I choose to work. My dream is to make a living from my passion. Right now, I only publish fun comics. Will you allow me to work from home?
I pleaded with Todd.
Well, it should be okay, right?
I continued to draw comics after my marriage. However, 6 months ago, a comic I published on my website caught the magazine editor, so I was able to get a 2-page article published in a monthly magazine. After that, I started getting calls from other magazines, so I got busy writing and illustrating comics every day. But when I told Todd about it, he gave me a look of obvious displeasure.
You've been on a roll lately, haven't you? You're just a shut-in who does nothing but household chores. Your comic books are just for fun. Even your salary is just as big as kids' allowance, isn't it?
Why do you say that? Todd, you don't read comics? I know you don't like them, but I've always dreamed of being a cartoon character. Sure, it's a small job, but I'm getting paid, so I'm a professional. So you shouldn't say things like that.
But when I countered, Todd became even grumpier.
How can you talk so big when I'm the one who feeds you? If you have a problem with me, wait, make more money than me.
I had nothing to say back. I depend on him, so I don't have that work, and he doesn't want to give me any. It's often around $600 a month, and Todd would only come to me when busy with deadlines.
You've become a sloppy cleaner. There's dust in the corner, you know. Next time I look at it, if there's on it, I'll leaven sell your computer.
I knew he didn't mean it, but I was. In the end, I spent so much time cleaning that I missed deadlines. Todd seems to get irritated when he's so busy, so he'd point out even the smallest chores, which was annoying. One day, Todd came home from work. He has a habit of eating dinner as gets home from work. That day, as usual, when he sat down to eat his simmered vegetables, he shouted angrily from the kitchen.
Hey, what the hell? The radish is not cooked all the way. Are you kidding me? Is this why you serve your husband comes home tired?
I was in a daze after making the deadline, but his yelling startled me. I turned to Todd. At that moment, Todd took the glass of beer in front of him and spilled it on me. My mind went blank. I had never imagined that someone would be around me in my entire life. It came as a big shock to me.
Oh, I'm sorry. I must have been in a daze while I was cooking. I'm sure everything else is fine. Just leave the radishes out.
During the cooking, I realized that somehow forgotten to add the radish my haste. I had dropped it into the stew without boiling it. I made sure the potatoes were cooked all the way through, but I completely forgot about the radishes. I usually don't make such mistakes. Felt ashamed of myself. It seems Todd couldn't forgive himself any more than I thought he could.
It's terrible that I got a wife who even do her own housework. I should never have married you.
Todd got up from his seat and started to leave the dining room. I hurriedly followed him into his bedroom.
Where are you going?
I'm leaving home until you're sorry.
I was stunned, not understanding what he meant. Todd packed his travel bag and really left the house. I chased after him, and when Todd arrived at the nearest station, he got into a cab and went away. I tried to call him several times, didn't pick up, and even though I sent him an apology WhatsApp, he wouldn't even read it. I fell into a heap on the spot, and I turned around, and Mr. Smith, Todd's boss, was standing. I used to work for the same company until we got married. Mr. Smith was also my boss, and he was very enthusiastic about my education when I joined the company.
Mr. Smith.
I've become a section chief, you know. It's been a long time. Since you're with Six, right? Why are you crying? You reek of alcohol. Did you go out in your apron?
Oh, it's been a long time. I'm so embarrassed to say this, but I had a fight with my best friend.
Oh, he's got a way of talking down sometimes, doesn't he? You can still put up with it if it's an occasional annoyance at work. But when you're married and living together, he's going to get on your nerves.
Mr. Smith turned a bright smile on, said that. How many times has his smile made a mistake at work in the past? Mr. Smith and I decided to go to a family restaurant and talk for a while.
So, why were you crying?
It's my fault. I messed up cooking today. I made a stew, and only the radish was undercooked, so it made Todd angry.
Oh, really? My wife is like that too. At time like those, what happens? I helped. So I say it's not good to get angry because it only tears us apart. You, because it only tears us apart. You.
That's a good idea.
So you two didn't go out for a drink or a fight?
No, I reek of alcohol because Todd got mad at my cooking and spilled beer on me. I think it's dried up when I run to the station. Do you still smell it?
I sniffed my clothes. I was told that I smelled of alcohol, but I couldn't really tell for myself.
What? He spilled beer on you just be messed up your cooking, usually? Isn't there something wrong with Todd? I thought he was a creep, but I can't believe he'd do that to his wife.
Mr. Smith was furious, as though he'd been doused with beer. It made me kind of happy.
So why did you come to the station? You came all the way out here and you. Is this about Todd again?
Yes, it's because Todd was acting soon. He called me a shouting wife and said he was going to leave the house until I felt sorry for myself. I followed him and got to the station, but Todd got into a cab and went away. I was at a loss.
What?
Mr. Smith's face, which had been then, suddenly became tense after a moment of silence.
I can't tell you now, but I have a bad feeling about this, so I'm going to look into Todd too. He might have left something at home, so maybe you should look into it.
I nodded, not knowing why, but without fully understanding, we call it a day. Mr. Smith dropped me off at my home. I looked at the shelves Todd often. I went through Todd's clothes. From inside the pocket of his pants, I found a hotel loyalty card. He used it quite recently, and the card showed a history of use on Saturday when he said he was working his day off. Was convinced that Todd was cheating, that I had forgotten for a long time. That was before we were married. When one of us lost a phone, we had talked about how good it would be to have a place where people could come together, share ideas, and work on projects that they were passionate about. If we could use each other's phone, the other person would be able to use GPS. We both did a lot of research and had completely forgotten that we had installed an app that specializes in a device. We launched the app, put in the pass. Todd found his phone in a surprisingly good condition. It was a famous tourist spot. It was hard to believe that he would be alone. I decided to move, assuming that Todd was probably on a trip with his cheating wife. The next day, I called the company for Mr. Smith.
Mr. Smith, thank you for yesterday.
It's nothing. Did something come up?
Could it be that Todd didn't come to today?
Mr. Smith didn't say anything but after a heavy exhale.
Oh, yes. He had requested for vacation with 4 days starting today.
I knew it.
I hate to say it, but he is probably
I know, but now I feel much better. Thank you.
After hanging up the phone, I made and left home. I had been thinking about it if Todd betrayed me, I would do this. After finishing that errand, I then called someone.
Hello. It's been a while.
The person on the other end of the line sounded cheerful to me, but once I told him about Todd, he immediately took my side. I hung up the phone, relieved. I was sure things would turn out for the better.
The next day,
I went with some people to place jeeps on Todd's phone pointed us. It's inside a resort hotel near a tourist spot. Right now, he seems to be outside the team's plans. The GPS showed that he was on a nearby road. The moment Todd saw my face, he turned away. With a smile on my face, I pointed at Todd and took a series of pictures of the camera. I wanted to get a two-shot of him or a girl beside him who was around in her 20s. By the way, 30 minutes earlier, Todd was in a bikini with that girl. I was able to take pictures of the was applying sun oil to that woman. I let them swim until I had conclusive evidence that Todd was cheating on me. The two of them were so liberated that they were out of their minds because they were kissing in public. I wasn't shocked at all. Perhaps he had already had enough of the affliction. I was rather grateful to them for poor good evidence. Todd was surprised, and the reason was pale. Was not only because he saw my face. Behind me were my in-laws. They were both giving Todd a hard time.
What are you doing, Todd?
I approached him with a smile and panicked, for his feet got caught in the sand. He fell on his butt. Seeing this, my mother-in-law let out a loud scream.
Todd, you're so pathetic. Who is this Girone? What are you doing leaving your wife?
Because she doesn't do the household chores. She's not allowed to use the car.
Todd was flustered, but he pointed at me and accused me.
Oh, really? You're wrong in saying that I don't do everything, right? Even if she skipped cleaning some days, she still did the laundry, cooking, and everything else that needed to be done each day. Right? Mom skips cleaning sometimes too. I don't even like doing the laundry, and sometimes I leave it to Dad.
That's because you work part-time. She's different. She's a housewife who just draws, and why can't she at least do it properly?
Todd's words made my father-in-law feel better.
You don't understand anything.
Even those around us looked surprised. Some of them seemed to be pointing phone cameras at us.
In the meantime, let's discuss a proper place.
Everyone nodded at my suggestion, and we all went into a nearby restaurant. Todd and his affair partner Mitch. 5 of us put on our clothes, and then we faced each other. We began by listening to Todd's side story.
I wanted Nina to be a full-time housekeeper, but she started a stupid hobby like comics and neglected her housework. I told her repeatedly, but she wouldn't listen to what I told her to do. So it's only natural for me to start for my next potential wife.
Then Mitch countered him.
What? Isn't that different from what's saying to me? You had a stalker in your house and in trouble, so you said you wanted me to forget an unpleasant reality for a while. When I said, why didn't you tell the police, you said, it's only a matter of time before the police catches the stalker. If you had a wife, you wouldn't have me.
Mitch started crying after she said. Apparently, she was still at college. She met Todd on a dating app. She said she was attracted to mature men and ended up going out with him, but lamented that she got fooled.
I'm sorry. I will never contact Todd again. I will consider it a learning experience. Won't be fooled next time.
After bowing deeply to me and my Mitch, she showed them the screen with Todd's number on it. Then she put her money on the table and walked away. I glared at Todd, who was flustered Mitch's disappearance.
It's only natural that I wouldn't do ask, right? I have feelings and circumstances too. I'm not a robot for you to control. It's disgusting to cheat on me. Just things don't work out.
Todd wanted to say something, but my father-in-law spoke up first.
You still don't seem happy about it.
I'm the one who earns the money too. So she should respect me, right?
Matthew spoke calmly to Todd, whose body trembling with anger.
You are still like a child. You're no different from a toddler just begging for something because he won't get his way. You must accept Nina's wishes as there is nothing more we can say to.
The in-laws stood up and headed for the register with the bill. Todd and I were left alone. I had nothing more to say to him either.
Todd, I got a series in a comic magazine.
Todd looked at me with a scared look on his face.
Congratulations.
I can't be the housewife you want me to be. I'm sorry. I'm tired of being with you. I want us to get separated.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You can draw as many comic books and I'll help you with the housework. I won't say anything arrogant to you anymore.
Todd pleaded with tears in his eyes, but I looked away from him. I didn't want to see any more of the figure, the man who used to be my husband.
I'm sorry, but it's not about that. You looked down on me, didn't you? I thought we were on equal footing and wife, but you were different because you worked to support me.
No, you might have been right. I've changed my mind. I promise I won't give you a hard time anymore. So don't say you're breaking up with me.
I've decided to sell the house we won. I have a relative who runs a real estate agency. I told him about the situation, and he agreed to buy it right away. But we still have some formalities, so it can't be sold immediately. I heard that the price will be lower than what I can get through an intermediary, but it's my house, and I can do what with it. So I want to cut ties with you as possible. I'm going to leave tomorrow. I want you to get out of that house as possible.
With that, I got up from my seat and walking toward the exit. It was the opposite of that day when Todd left the house, because now it's him who followed me frantically, as if he was chasing after me. But as I got into the car, my father-in-law, who was sitting in the front seat, started the car as soon as I slammed it shut. Todd chased after me in the back, so I couldn't see him anymore. Then it seems that he didn't believe what I said. When I came home from my trip, all of my personal belongings had been stolen. He called me in tears. I answered the phone as a last act.
Why did you sell it? It's our house, right?
Funny thing to say, isn't it? I inherited this house from my parents.
Even so, I should have a right to it.
To my inheritance. If you understand that, then get thee of my house. And as for alimony and divorce, you'll be hearing from my lawyer soon.
I said what I wanted to say and hung phone. Since then, Todd was scolded by Mr. Smith for taking too much time to pay, to go on a trip with his mistress. He didn't need a reason to use his off, but the fact that he betrayed me, him, and took off was something he got seriously questioned about. He is now being looked at with cold eyes by his colleagues at work and living an uncomfortable life. My parenting law also gave up on him. Todd tried to go back to his parent, but they refused. Todd lost money due to alimony payments, got sunk in debt, and is living a rough life alone in an apartment, unable to do much housework. Later, Mr. Smith told me about it, but I didn't feel anything. As for me, I moved into a beautiful honor room apartment. I'm currently busy with the plot for the series. I'm researching omnibus format works by various people and using them as a reference. The next story I'm going to draw is Husband's Infidelity. So I am thinking of using Todd as the